Pothole Palooza. There's a higher volume of pothole requests this year. The mayor is saying crews are out patching them up.
Well, speeding up the Finch West LRT, the city's taken the first steps to speed up the new transit line.
And snow on the way. The GTA is under a special weather statement, and we're expected to get between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow. That's tonight.
This is Live at 5.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz West.
Well,
yeah. I was just checking to see how, I knew my name.
See, what happened was...
What?
That's what they always say when you're doing...
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz West.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, drivers, they've been busy dodging potholes. This as the city reports an increase in the damaging craters compared with previous years. Right now, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan. Melissa, you've actually put out a solicit to viewers to tell you where potholes are. Did you get any responses?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for everybody who tossed tips my way. This one sent to us from Isabel. She says, you got to check out this pothole. It is at King West and Bathurst. She says it is a big issue. It's part of her route. She's also telling me that she thinks that it is worse this year than previous years. And that's lining up with what we're hearing from the city of Toronto. They say they've gotten more reports about potholes this year than in previous years. And we're only in February. I mean, expect more to be added to that list over the next little while. So a real deep hole here. There is a pylon in the middle of it, too. So, the city is aware that this is an issue. Some 29 city crews were out today. They were looking for those potholes, identifying them, documenting them, and repairing them in some instances, kind of getting a head start on the typical pothole blitz that we'll see in the springtime. Of course, weather a big factor this year. It has been cold this winter. Once we see that moisture get into the roadways, it freezes, it expands, and then you see kind of a mess like this and a lot of the other messes we've been seeing around town. We've been touring a different area of the city today looking for these problem spots, and we heard from the mayor when it comes to potholes about what actually is going into causing all of these different divots. Have a listen.
If Mother Nature give us a break, and so far it hasn't, it's that freeze-thaw cycle. If the weather is too cold, we can't go and fix the potholes. If it's snow, we can't do that because we have to remove the snow. It's only if there's a longer warm period that we could really get to it. But our crew right now is out there fixing potholes as much as we can.
You know, the numbers are pretty staggering. The city saying that last year, some 250,000 potholes were repaired. Now the indication is that that number will likely be higher looking at this year. There'll be more money also budgeted to repair those potholes. The mayor saying there's about $6.2 million earmarked for pothole repair. That's up from $5.5 million from last year. And if you want to flag any of these potholes, getting the city's attention, you could go to the city's website, toronto.ca/311. You could call 311, let them know about these problem areas. And Bakari and Liz, there's also an option because, listen, this can cause some serious damage to your vehicle, a safety hazard as well. If you do need to get your car repaired, there is actually a way that you could possibly be compensated by the city for it. You could go online to the city's website, file a claim there. There is paperwork involved. It is not a guarantee, but there is an option and, you know, a potential that you could get some cash for the city to repair your vehicle if you hit something like this on your drive. Back to you.
Yeah, it can be really expensive. Another option, too, if you want to notify the city, is you could take a photo of the pothole and actually tweet it to @311. In the essence of time, I find that to be a very quick method to identify the problem, and you've got the proof in the photograph. So that's one way to tackle it head on when you're walking along and you trip into the pothole.
Yeah, the pothole looked more like a crater.
It did. Thanks, Melissa. Another day of delays on the Gardiner Expressway. That's because of a water main break. Traffic's been backed up on the westbound Gardiner approaching Park Lawn. The city says a leak in one of the water main's connection joints was responsible for the break, which happened early yesterday. Workers continuing to make repairs. The on-ramp from Park Lawn to the westbound Gardiner remains closed.
Well, the TTC says that it's going to be a few more days before the 510 Spadina streetcars are back in service. Shuttle buses have been replaced or have been called in to replace 510 streetcars because of an issue with the underground power supply. A TTC spokesperson, Stuart Green, tells CP24 that it'll likely take crews until the end of the work week to fix the issue.
We first learned yesterday that there was indications of a fire in an underground power vault where we have cabling that supplies the overhead power, that's 600 volts of power for the streetcar network in the Spadina and Adelaide area. So we went in to investigate, discovered some significant damage in that underground vault. So we've got crews in there. They went in yesterday and they've been there all night, and they'll continue working around the clock until we get this repaired. There's about 600 feet of cable, or 600 meters, pardon me, of cable that has to be replaced in these series of vaults that are underground.
The root cause of the power supply issue, it's not yet known, but Green says that 17 buses have been brought in to replace about 12 streetcars on the 510 route.
And 2 people were sent to hospital after being struck at the Finch GO bus terminal. The call came in just after 8:15 this morning for reports that a bus hit a pedestrian and a hydro pole. 5 people were assessed on the scene. 2 were taken to hospital with minor injuries.
We have breaking news. A woman has died after a collision in Whitchurch-Stouffville. Here's a live look from Chopper24. This is over the scene near Bloomington Road and Thorn Bay Drive. So York Regional Police say that a dump truck and vehicle collided around 3:45 this afternoon. A 71-year-old woman was killed in the crash. Okay, right now, let's bring in CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa and Tia Bois. Adj.
Well, thank you so much, Bakari. We're going to stick with Chopper 24 over the scene of this fatal collision that happened in Whitchurch-Stouffville on Bloomington Road. So Bloomington is closed in either direction for quite the stretch between Highway 48 and 9th Line following this fatal collision involving a dump truck and a sedan. If we can get Chopper to show you the view of the scene, here's the dump truck and what remains of the vehicle. This closure is going to last for the next several hours. I'll show you my cameras now. If you're traveling on the northbound lanes of the 404 and the Express, just north of the 401, just a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane as well as the right shoulder. Then on the 401 eastbound in particular, really busy in the collectors, starting from Dixie out pretty much beyond Dufferin, but there's a gap in the collectors because we were dealing with a collision blocking the right lanes through Dufferin. Everything there cleared. And a heads up as well, it looks like problems. I'm not sure if they cleared or they just moved the camera, but northbound 400 through Finch, we had a stalled vehicle. It was in the right lane. The camera was facing the other way, so maybe a good sign. That problem may have cleared. I'm going to
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
I'm going to send it over to Samantha TC now, the TTC Transit Control Center. Samantha, just checking in to see if there are any issues on TTC that commuters should be aware of.
Thanks so much, Adjua. So we are tracking some issues on our streetcar network. As Bakari had mentioned earlier, service on the 510 Spadina streetcar route has been suspended while our crews replace some underground cables that do power our overhead streetcar wires. So we got you covered with some alternatives. So shuttle buses are running from Spadina Station all the way along Spadina Avenue to Queens Quay. And then if you are traveling along the harbor front or from Union Station, you're able to take a 509 Harborfront streetcar. We have ramped up service along that route to get you traveling through the area a little quicker. Now looking at 505 Dundas streetcar service, westbound streetcars are detouring around the intersection of Dundas and Bathurst Street because of a mechanical issue with one of our streetcars in that area. Now, quick look underground. Things are moving well for us this evening with no delays reported on any of our subway lines, and line 5 and 6 are doing quite well as well tonight with no delays reported on there either. To check up to date with the latest information, make sure to visit us on the ttc.ca website. And with that, I'll send it back to you, Bakari and Liz in the newsroom.
Thanks, Samantha. And the city says it's taken another step in its efforts to speed up the Finch West LRT. And for the details on that, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan along Finch. Andrew.
Hi, I've just been trying to get people that have been getting off the LRT, Liz, and just double checking as well with, I believe Vicari's in today and Phil has been around as well, just in case. I'm not sure who's on the desk right now because I've been trying to talk to people very quickly. The general consensus with this new priorities signaling that's been added and starting to be rolled out and implemented right now, guys, is that stop making that a discernible difference. The big thing to bear in mind, though, when I've been asking people, a lot of them have been saying they've only been going a few stops. So when you're only coming from Weston and we're here at Pearldale, that is only a few stops on this line that's over 10 kilometers long and also has 18 stops along it. So the original estimate for this whole line was supposed to be to get across in about roughly 33 to 35 minutes. That's what the TTC and Metrolinx had been hoping. That had not been the case at all when the Finch West LRT opened in December. In fact, over 3 weeks in December, I should say, there was over 300 reported incidents when it came to service disruptions or having just actual no service on line 6 at the beginning of its rollout. So some changes trying to alleviate some of the stress on the network that we've been seeing. There's a few things that have been problems. One has been these signal issues, having cars being able to turn left before the train is able to start moving. Another problem has been the weather. As we've been talking quite a bit about, it's been a rather wintry winter, and because of that, and this being an outdoor LRT, there have been times where the tracks have not been able to get cleared or have the actual snow be melted by the heaters on the tracks quickly enough. There is a whole situation in question as to whether the electric heater should have been turned to gas, and if we should have theoretically learned something from what transpired in Ottawa with its LRT and its problems there. But this is another issue surrounding just whether or not the train is going fast enough because it's not the priority. Now, here on Finch, it is. The problem, guys, is people aren't really seeing much of a difference as of now. Like I said, part of that could be just because of how long of a commute they're doing. But as of now, talking to about a half dozen people very quickly, the consensus is they're not seeing that much of a difference. But in principle, they like the idea. I'll send it back to you both.
I like the idea of a faster commute, too. Thanks, Andrew.
Well, a special weather statement has been issued for the GTHA with snow on the way. So here's a live look at conditions right now. Northwesterly winds are tapping into a very cold air mass. The winds are going to shift and keep things a bit more comfortable tonight as the snow moves in with 5 to 10 centimeters possible. And flurries will ease overnight but linger for the start of tomorrow morning's commute.
We were teased. We had about a week of temperatures that got above the freezing mark. We thought, okay, maybe spring is just around the corner. And then we've fallen into this cold bout. We missed that storm that clobbered the eastern seaboard of the United States and is punishing the Maritimes as we speak. And sort of coming in behind that has been this cold air. So we're seeing it. We have cold weather warnings out for parts of Ontario, say central Ontario from Georgian Bay to Peterborough, Kawarthas, not quite to the Ottawa Valley.
Well, things will brighten up Wednesday during the day, while Thursday will be mainly cloudy but close to seasonable. We're then going to see bright and mild conditions to end the work week Friday.
An overnight fire at a restaurant in Pickering is under investigation. The fire at a plaza on Kingston Road, east of Liverpool, was reported around 2:30 this morning. Durham Regional Police say it was quickly knocked down and there were no injuries. No word on the extent of damage. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office has been called in to investigate.
It's 5:15, -4, feeling more like -8. This is Live at 5.
And up ahead, most Canadian airlines have resumed flights to Puerto Vallarta today as the cartel violence in Mexico appears to be stabilizing. The latest on the situation next. Canada's ambassador to Mexico says the country appears to be in a period of stabilization after Sunday's violence and unrest. At least 73 people were killed in military operation that killed the leader of one of Mexico's largest and most violent drug cartels. That sparked a wave of violence as cartel loyalists set cars on fire in roadblocks across dozens of states. Mexico has beefed up security in Jalisco state. That's deploying 2,000 troops to the area. At least 25 National Guard members were also killed. And Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says the situation in Mexico continues to evolve.
The advice of local authorities continues to be of preeminent importance. As you know, the volatility and the instability differs throughout the country in different regions. For that reason, we are advising Canadians who remain in Mexico at this time to follow the advice of local authorities. In addition, we are also encouraging Canadians to register with our ROCA system.
Canada's ambassador to Mexico, Cameron McKay, spoke to CP24 about what Canadians should do before making plans to travel to the country.
For those who are staying, and for anybody who's considering traveling to Mexico or has plans to travel to Mexico, in the coming days and weeks, my strong advice is read the travel advisory by the Government of Canada. If you just go online and Google Canadian Government Travel Advisory Mexico, the first hit you get will be the government's best advice as to the do's and don't do's if and when in Mexico. It's important to read the entire document. It's thorough. It covers Puerto Vallarta, but also the entire country.
And most Canadian airlines are resuming flights to Puerto Vallarta today. Air Canada, WestJet, Porter, and Air Transat flights to and from the popular resort city are taking off once again. And we spoke to travelers who are eager to start their vacations.
Apprehensive, hearing a bit of everything. People who are down there, seeing a lot of smoke and fires, but I feel good. I feel good to go. He's confident this morning. They're no longer sheltering in place. So I needed a vacation and I can't wait to go.
We had cancellation insurance, so I made the decision. I'd like to just cancel, get a refund, and we'll either find something else or go another time. And we were lucky enough to find another trip, and here we are heading to the Bahamas. It's better in the Bahamas, right? That's what they say.
When asked whether Canadians with planned trips to Mexico should cancel their flights, Anita Anand said decisions should be made on a day-to-day basis, even as the situation appears to be improving.
Well, the Ukrainian community here in Toronto and also back home marking 4 years since Russia launched its large-scale invasion of the country. In Kyiv, this moment of silence was held in memory of the victims of the war. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on both sides have died or been wounded in Europe's deadliest conflict since the Second World War. Russian forces have killed tens of thousands of Ukrainian civilians and destroyed cities with missiles and drone strikes. And as the conflict enters its 5th year, there's no sign of any peace deal, despite U.S. efforts. And Prime Minister Mark Carney talks about new measures to support Ukraine.
There was a meeting this morning, very early this morning, of the Coalition of the Willing I participated in, including President Zelensky, chaired by President Macron, pardon me, and Prime Minister Starmer. Several things to take from that. First, as I said just at the end, Russia is failing to achieve all of its objectives 4 years into this conflict, 12 years if you include its annexation, its illegal annexation of Crimea. But 4 years on, Russia is failing militarily, strategically, and economically.
Peter Shurin is the president of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress here in Toronto. He joined us live earlier to talk about the ongoing war.
Every time they go to the table, they talk about a ceasefire. Now, that's not a complete end of the war, but it's a ceasefire. It will end aggression for the time being. Ukraine has agreed to it 6 times, all American proposals. Russia continues to ask for more territory than they've already taken. So in other words, we want everything and more, and Ukraine just has to concede. So clearly Russia is not ready to end their aggression. They want all of Ukraine. And that's simply not going to happen.
Well, Canada has spent $23.5 billion in military and financial aid for Ukraine since the war began.
And the federal government is calling on OpenAI executives in Ottawa for a meeting to discuss safety, this in the wake of the mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC. The ChatGPT parent company banned Jesse Van Rootseller's account back in June after flagging some troubling posts, including some that included scenarios of gun violence. OpenAI didn't inform police until after the February 10th shooting. It says the posts didn't meet the threshold for informing law enforcement because they didn't outline imminent planning. The federal AI, public safety and culture ministers have summoned staff to explain decisions and safety procedures.
Okay, right now it's 5:23 minus 4. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, Leafs captain Austin Matthews visits the White House to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump. The Blue Jays took on the Yankees today in Grapefruit League play.
This one lifted in the air center. It is Varsho is back, running out of room, and it's gone.
Toronto trailing 2-1 in the third inning when Paul Goldschmidt hit a 2-run home to extend the lead for New York. The Yankees were up 7-5 in the eighth when they added another homer. The Jays would get within 1 after Jake Casey hit a 2-run shot of his own in the ninth inning, but that would be it for Toronto's offense as the Yankees held on to take this one 8-7.
Well, members of the U.S. Olympic men's hockey team visited the White House this afternoon to celebrate their gold medal win.
Guys, I recognize every one of you.
U.S. President Donald Trump greeting Captain Austin Matthews and the rest of the team in the Oval Office. Trump invited the gold medal winning women's team to a State of the Union address tonight, but the team declined, citing scheduling conflicts. Well, Trump's expected to focus on domestic issues in his address tonight, including his immigration crackdown and push to preserve widespread tariffs.
And the Maple Leafs held practice today following the NHL's Olympic break. The team hit the ice at the Ford Performance Center in Etobicoke, and William Nylander has rejoined the club after representing Sweden at the Winter Games in Italy. However, captain and gold medal winner Austin Matthews, well, he was absent because of his trip to Washington with the rest of Team USA.
Obviously, I'm super happy for him and what he was able to accomplish there. But I'm obviously upset that we lost. But I mean, it was a great game, and they did a great job, and it's not an easy feat to win the gold medal.
Going off of last year, I definitely thought there was fatigue with these guys coming back for Four Nations. You never know. We'll see. He's riding a pretty good high right now, with winning. So he's feeling good. Again, we'll evaluate that tomorrow and see where he's at, and I'll get a better feel when I talk to him here tonight.
I think Nylander did that interview in a hot tub. The Leafs return to action tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, the Raptors are going to host defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder tonight.
Here's Walter. Sends it to Quick. He'll turn. Fire 3. Oh! What happened there?
Toronto's looking for their third win in a row after beating the Bucks on Sunday. Scotty Barnes missed that game for personal reasons, but is expected to be back tonight. The 34-23 Raptors are fifth in the East. The 44-14 Thunder lead the West. Now, Hamilton Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been out of the lineup with an abdominal strain. Tip-off tonight, 7:30.
It is -4, feeling more like -8. This is Live at 5.
And here's a live look at Pearson Airport. This is where the first flights carrying Canadians from Puerto Vallarta are arriving. We're going to go live to the airport next. Pothole Palooza. There is a higher volume of pothole requests this year. The mayor says crews are out patching them up.
And speeding up the Finch West LRT. The city's taking the first steps to speed up the new transit line.
Well, snow is on the way. The GTA is under a special weather statement. We're expecting to get between 5 to 10 centimeters of snow tonight.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
I'm Liz West. Welcome to Live at 5. The first flights carrying Canadians from Puerto Vallarta arriving at Pearson Airport this evening after the killing of the cartel leader. Let's go live to CTV's Beth McDonnell, who's at Pearson Airport right now. And Beth, you are standing by. You will be speaking to some of the first passengers to return from Puerto Vallarta.
That's the plan, Liz and Bakari. Yes, just at international arrivals in Terminal 3. And we are expecting a first flight from Air Transat at 6 o'clock landing here at Pearson. And so from there, these passengers will come out the doors that you're seeing there, just like these passengers. And hopefully we'll be able to approach them and talk to them about their stories. Of course, we've been hearing the last few days about all the violence that erupted there. I was just speaking with one man whose husband is in Puerto Vallarta right now, and he is saying that, yeah, when this started, they were all quite worried, and he has pictures of some of the cars that were on fire. And of course, we know many Canadians in many different parts of the country were sheltering in place. But he says today his husband is back on the beach and enjoying the vacation once again. So that is good news. But we are going to get the chance, hopefully shortly after 6. It does take some time to disembark and go through customs and pick up your luggage and whatnot. So hopefully around 6:30, 6:45, we will be talking to some Canadians who were down there in Puerto Vallarta, really the epicenter of where this violence erupted, from what we're told. And also then at 6:45, another flight, a WestJet, is expected to land here as well. And so then into the evening, we'll hopefully hear from more people. Hopefully everyone is feeling good, and hopefully no one experienced anything too traumatic. But I mean, to be told to be sheltering in place when you're on vacation would certainly be quite a scare. Back to you.
Yeah, you need a vacation after that. That's CTV's Beth McDonnell, live at Pearson Airport. Thanks for that.
And Foreign Affairs Minister Nito Anand says that the number of Canadians in Mexico who've registered with the government has more than doubled since yesterday.
We are now at about 55,000 Canadians who have registered with the ROCA system. The long and the short of it is the situation is becoming more normalized. We should continue to see this trajectory unfolding. The situation needs to be closely monitored, as we are doing with our consular officials on the ground in Mexico, and we are advising Canadians to follow the advice of local authorities.
And Canadian ambassador to Mexico, Cameron McKay, talked to CP24 and says that the government is working closely with Mexican authorities to keep Canadians informed.
Canada has 10 offices in Mexico, 10 points of information or sources of information of, our own people who are on the ground in 10 cities across the country. We've been coordinating with them constantly since this, broke out on Sunday morning to get credible information from them. Also monitoring local news sources, the credible ones, and credible social media, and a good ongoing dialogue with the government of Mexico as well, right up to very senior levels, both on political issues and security.
Now let's check on the roads with CP24 traffic specialist Adjoa and Sayayebwa. Adjoa?
Yeah, we are still dealing with quite a few problems if you're starting your commute this hour. We'll start with a pair of issues impacting the drive on the northbound lanes of the 400. This is just as you make your way on the approach to Finch. It's a stalled truck that's in the center lane, and then in the distance, and I'll give you a better camera angle, further north on the 400, just north of Finch. Separate problem, another stall, though, blocking the right lane as well as that right shoulder. Once you hop onto the 401, it continues to move slowly across the top of the city, but no new issues to pass along, and the long-standing issues continue to make for a slow drive on the westbound Gardiner. So delays from York Bay Yonge all the way up to Park Lawn. Again, maintenance continues because of water main repairs on the westbound Gardiner through Park Lawn. Right lane and the on-ramp lane remain off limits. A couple of problems happening on City Street. So we'll start in the downtown core. Southbound Church remains closed between Shooter and Queen following a very serious collision, and a fatal collision investigation up in Whitchurch Stouffville still has that big stretch of Bloomington closed between 9th Line and Highway 48. I'm going to send it over to Samantha TC at the TTC Transit Control Center. Samantha, just checking in to see, are there any issues that are hindering commuters' drive?
Thanks so much, Adjoa. So a few issues to report actually on our streetcar network you should be aware of before heading out. So the 510 Spadina streetcar route service has been suspended, and this is because while crews replace some damaged underground wires that do power our overhead network in the Spadina Avenue area. So we do have shuttle buses running along Spadina between Spadina Station and Queens Quay. And if you are traveling along the Harbourfront area, we got you covered. We have ramped up streetcar service on the 509 Harbourfront route running from Union Station to make that connection over on Spadina to those replacement buses. Now looking at the 505 Dundas streetcar service, westbound streetcars are detouring around the intersection of Dundas and Bathurst Street because of a mechanical issue on one of our streetcars in that area. Now looking quickly to things underground, subway service is moving well tonight with no delays reported on lines 1, 2, and 4, and LRT is also running smoothly on lines 5 and 6. Now with that, I will send it back to you, Bakari and Liz in the newsroom.
All right, Samantha TC with the TTC Control Center. Thanks a lot. Well, 2 people were sent to hospital after being hit at the Finch bus terminal. The call came in just after 8:15 this morning for reports that a bus hit a pedestrian and a hydro pole. 5 people were assessed on the scene. 2 were taken to hospital with minor injuries, and the Toronto District Fire Chief provided this update this afternoon on the damage and the extent of the damage caused to the pole.
We're dealing with frozen ground, so they've had to dig in fairly deep to set the base of these poles. It looks like they're using telephone poles to set up the base structure, and they're going to connect it into the hydro tower itself. The cold, the fact that it's it's gotten a little colder today, doesn't help us out. But overall, the wind is favorable. This would have been a bit of a challenge for the tower itself because it's the tension has been put on it. If you look up at the insulators, you can see that there's a bit of additional tension on them. So the structures move significantly.
And police are warning commuters to expect delays in the area.
And drivers so busy dodging potholes as the city reports the increase in the damaging craters compared to previous years. Right now, we're going to go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan for a closer look at this. And I mean, we can all agree, I think, that the roads have never looked this bad.
A little rough, a little moon-like, Liz. The surface of the moon is what we're seeing on roadways here in Toronto. And yeah, this is what we're hearing from the city about the volume of calls reporting these potholes, that they're up this year compared to previous years. I'm guessing a lot of drivers are thinking right about now, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. So complaints are piling up right now. The city asking everyone to report any potholes you might be seeing, reaching out to 311. Liz, you mentioned tweeting it out to 311 Toronto. That's another idea too. Sending a photo was a great idea just to get more eyeballs on the situation, bring attention to it. The city's website, toronto.ca/311, another option to report these potholes. What we're hearing from the city today is that they had nearly 30 crews out looking for potholes. They're documenting them. They're repairing some of them. Of course, this ahead of the snowfall we're expecting tonight. And when we get all that snow, it covers these potholes and you might not have eyeballs on it and you end up hitting them. That could be rough on your vehicle and costly too. Safety concerns as well. You can report that damage to the city, making a claim potentially to collect some compensation. We are hearing from the city as well in terms of numbers. Last year, they saw some 250,000, 250,000 or so potholes repaired. That number expected to be higher this year if we're to read into this report going into the city of that volume of complaints about potholes. We were hearing from the mayor today who was talking about her efforts. She wanted to kind of rev things up when it comes to addressing potholes. And here's what she has to tell us.
Since I became the mayor, we have fixed an extra 78,000 more potholes per year, at least 78,000. It's 44% more every year that we have fixed. So we've invested in more money. We have extra staff, more staff fixing it. But as you can tell, this winter has been brutal with a big snowfall, then a freeze, and then a thaw, and now a freeze again, and then a snowfall coming. You just can't get ahead of it.
Your heart just sinks when you run into those potholes sometimes. We've been doing a tour of the city today, looking for a bunch of them. There was a stretch on Wellesley between Homewood and Sherbourne, some real deep holes there. We finally made our way here to King West and Bathurst. This off a tip from Isabel. I was asking viewers, tell me about some of the worst potholes you've seen. Certainly this one, that makes the list. Another viewer telling me that there are several streets north of St. Clair that are seeing some big potholes there. Also along St. Clair is what other people are telling me too. So keep those tips coming in. We want to know about your potholes. We'll try to find them and ideally bring some attention to them, letting the city know where to find them to repair them, because we've got that spring pothole blitz season that is just around the corner. And of course, with this cold weather and then the thawing, you know, that back and forth, Bakari and Liz, that is a bad recipe for potholes. So expect more to be popping up over the next little bit. Back to you.
Thanks for that update, Melissa.
And another day of delays on the Gardiner because of a water main break. Traffic's been backed up on the westbound Gardiner approaching Parkland. The city says that a leak in one of the water main's connection joints was responsible for the break, which happened early yesterday. Workers continue to make repairs. The on-ramp from Parkland to the westbound Gardiner, that's still closed.
The TTC says it will be a few more days before 510 Spadina streetcars are back in service. Shuttle buses have replaced 510 streetcars because of an issue with the underground power supply. TTC spokesperson Stuart Green tells CP24 that it will likely take crews until the end of the work week to fix the issue.
The overhead network is in good shape. It's the underground power supply that feeds that overhead that we're dealing with today. And as I say, it's sort of this network of tunnels and vaults that are underground that supply all of the 600-volt power to the overhead. So that's really where the crews are focused. And it's quite an intricate network underground that they have to navigate. So that work is going to take us a few days.
Now, the root cause of the power supply issue is not yet known, and Green says 17 buses have been brought in to replace about 12 streetcars on the 510 route.
Well, the city says that it's taken another step in efforts to speed up the Finch West LRT. For the details, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan along Finch. Andrew.
Bakari, Liz, we are along Finch right now at Pearldale, and as we've been watching the train, the light rail transit coming to and fro from west and east from here, one thing we have noticed is the trains doing what they're supposed to do, priority signaling, allowing them to go before those cars turning left. And actually, do we have a chance to be able to show that? We might, if I talk with a little bit of, as the stage, the people in the stage community, the actors would call this vamping. So we're vamping as this vehicle gets to the platform and will theoretically stop and be able to continue before those vehicles, those cars to the left of your screen will be able to turn left. This is basically to try to cut down on the travel time for what is only a 10-kilometer long route, but a route that is 10 kilometers long, taking up to almost an hour to be able to get from one side to the other. I know there was that guy that does the thing where he races on foot, the LRTs, and he definitely did beat this one by a mile metaphorically, and if he was going further, also physically. But in this case, you can see what's happening right now. The vamping has worked. This vehicle, this train, LRT, goes first, and then in 10 seconds, once the light is supposed to turn green, turn red, before it does, you get the left turn a green light there for the cars. So this is supposed to cut down potentially up to 8 minutes of time. We'll have to see how things go. When we talk to people, though, they're not seeing much of a difference. On principle, though, they do like the idea. And you're also going to hear right now from one driver who happens to make a lot of left turns.
Sounds great because it's supposed to be helpful, right, for us. And yeah, it's
Has it been helpful these days since it opened for you?
Not really. Yeah, unfortunately, not really, but I'm trying to take more often.
I see that the trains are not even a half full; they just a quarter full. So why they have a priority?
Because
if I'm standing, like if I'm staying on the traffic light, like idle, like my engine keep working and whatsoever, right? Is that really better for environment?
Well, I can't answer that question because I don't have the numbers for that. But I do have Malik here who's been able to give us a sense of what the trip was like for him. Malik, you just said it was a little faster for you today.
It was. I started from Signatero, got on a 5:15, I'm pretty sure 5:20.
got here at like 5:30. So it took like 10 minutes for like 4 or 5 stops.
And how long was it maybe last week or when you've been on it before?
Like 20, 25. Sometimes it would even like shut down on me, you know, like half like mid-ride and stuff. But like it was a lot better today. It was quicker, and I checked the time and stuff too. So.
And just to make sure, did you happen to notice any of that time saving coming from the LRT, the train moving before the cars turning left? Like you got the green light first, so did that make a difference? Did you notice?
I did not notice.
But overall, it was faster.
Moving, yeah, we were moving a lot. We were like, it was more moving than stopping this time, because usually we'd stop like at every light, even, you know. But it was quick. It was moving today.
Hey, man, thanks for giving us a quick demonstration or thought about how things are going. I really appreciate you. Have a great day, man, and all the best. Oh, yeah, he would fist bump, but he's too busy working. 2 from Andrew. Okay, we're gonna send it back inside, but there you see it feels a little faster. Whether it's because of the lights remains to be seen. That's not scientific, but we do appreciate Malik and his perspective. Back to you both.
Okay, live and long, Finch, CP24's Andrew Brennan.
We continue to follow breaking news from Whitchurch, Stouffville, where there's been a fatal crash.
Chopper 24 was over the scene. This is on Bloomington Road near 9th Line. York Regional Police say that a dump truck and a vehicle collided around 3:45 this afternoon. Both vehicles ended up off the road. A 71-year-old woman was killed in the crash. We will continue to follow this and bring you the latest.
It's 5:49, -4, feeling like -8 with the wind chill. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, the GTA is under a special weather statement with 5 to 10 centimeters of snow in the forecast for tonight.
A special weather statement has been issued for the GTHA with snow on the way. Northwesterly winds are tapping into a very cold air mass. The winds will shift and keep things a bit more comfortable tonight as the snow moves in with 5 to 10 centimeters possible. Flurries will ease overnight but linger for the start of tomorrow morning's commute.
What's really surprised me is the duration of this cold. We've had, I can't remember when I last saw this. November, December, January, February, all the same nature, colder than normal. You don't see that in a 4-month period in the Toronto area. So we've seen that cold. We've also had almost double the amount of snowfall. So it's been the look and the feel of winter has clearly been front and center.
Things will brighten up tomorrow during the day, while Thursday will be mainly cloudy but close to seasonable. Then we'll see bright and mild conditions to end the work week on Friday. And that's good news.
Yeah. Other provinces, Black Trustee Caucus has written a letter to Premier Doug Ford warning that school board takeovers are weakening the governance needed to track and confront racism in schools. The letter says sustaining strong oversight is essential to meeting legal obligations and improving outcomes for Black students and for all students. Education Minister Paul Calandra has placed 7 school boards under provincial supervision and has hinted at eliminating trustees altogether. The letter says that some supervisors have cut staff in equity and human rights departments, adding that at least 10 Black trustees have been removed or sidelined. The caucus wants dedicated funding, transparent reporting on race-based student outcomes, and a public response to the Human Rights Commission report on anti-Black racism in education.
And another poll is taking a look at potential contests this fall between Mayor Olivia Chow and former Mayor John Tory. Main Street Research finds if the two entered this year's election race, Chow would have 43% support among decided and leading voters, nearly 10 points ahead of Tory. Councillor Brad Bradford, who has declared his intention to run for mayor, has 17% support. And although Chow leads Tory in support, 54% say they'd preferred the direction of the city under Tory.
Right now it's 5:54, -4. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, the Toronto Zoo is welcoming its newest addition. Members of the U.S. Olympic men's hockey team visited the White House this afternoon to celebrate their gold medal win.
Guys, I recognize every one of you.
President Donald Trump greeting Captain Austin Matthews and the rest of the team in the Oval Office. Trump invited the gold medal winning women's team to his State of the Union address tonight, but the team declined, citing scheduling conflicts. Trump's expected to focus on domestic issues in his address tonight, including his immigration crackdown and push to preserve widespread tariffs.
Well, back here at home, the Toronto Zoo is celebrating birth of an endangered Maasai giraffe. So the female calf was born Sunday right around 1:30 in the morning and was standing up within half an hour. Mom and calf, they're doing well. They were left to bond following the birth. Now, the calf's already over 6 feet tall. The zoo says that the birth has even deeper meaning after the unexpected death of the calf's father, Kiko. This was last month.
For young giraffes, those early days are so important. They don't, in the wild, about 50% of them actually are predated in their first year. So, we still have some work to do. Still want to make sure we're keeping a close eye. The veterinarians were in yesterday to actually lay hands and get a look. And we look forward to continuing providing that world-class care.
Well, the calf doesn't have a name just yet. The zoo says it will be asking the public for help in the coming months with one.
That doesn't always go well, but anyway.
All right, it's 5:58 -4. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. This as we get ready for what? More cold weather? It's not spring
and
yet.
Some snow. Keep it here, though. The GTA under special weather statement. 5 to 10 centimeters of snow in the forecast. We'll keep you posted. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.